If you're watching this, bro, it's probably because procrastination is slowly taking over your life. And you might not realize it, but bit by bit, if you look at all the goals you had and how few of them you've actually accomplished and made progress in, it's quite clear that this is a big problem in your life. And you don't realize it straight away, but as the years go by and you're not achieving any of those goals you set out to achieve, it finally hits you and you realize, I'm pretty far from where I thought I would be at this point in my life. And what's the reason for all this? Well, you're just not taking action. You're not taking consistent action. You're basically procrastinating your life away. At first, it seems harmless, right? You take a day off here, you skip a week, you were traveling, whatever, it was Ramadan, a month goes by here. But next thing you know it, years have passed and you're living a very average life which you never intended to live in the first place. And taking action is what separates the man who stands in Ramadan in Taraweeh prayer, understanding every letter of what is being read out of the Quran, and the one who stands there struggling to concentrate because he doesn't understand a word. It's also what separates the entrepreneur who's doing his business full-time, online, able to do it from anywhere in the world, able to do hijrah and live in any country he likes, as well as traveling while working alongside his family, versus the one who's sitting in his office in London, where looking out the window, dreaming about when he won't have to come here ever again. And this was my exact situation. You see, I grew up in a family that was very influenced by academia. My dad is very academic. He's got a bachelor's degree, master's degree in linguistics, out of all things, and he passed it on to me. So I did my first bachelor's degree, then I went to the UK, I was in the UAE before, I did a master's degree in one of the top unis in the world, UCL, and then I also ended up doing another degree, a teacher training degree, in the top place to learn teacher training. Like, I was good at this academia stuff. But when I looked at myself, I was like 24 years old. I hadn't really earned any money at that point. I really wanted to get married. I'm not married. And I had to kind of realize that it's because I'm not a doer. I'm a thinker. I'm a planner. I'm good at discussing. I'm good at philosophizing. But that doesn't get me anywhere. And it doesn't allow me to contribute to the ummah anywhere either. And that was painful to admit. But I also realized something, that it wasn't too late. Even at 24, 25 years old, even if it took me 2 years, 3 years to just change how I was as a person and go from being a procrastinator and a thinker to being a doer, an action taker, a man of his word, it would be worth it. Even if I was 36 years old and I was starting to break those chains of the comfort trap, as I call it, it would be worth it. Because it's day and night, the life that you can live when you're an action taker versus one who procrastinates. And it took me 3 years to go from that kind of person to actually achieving the foundations and the pillars of what make my ideal life. And alhamdulillah, I did it, and I did it by the grace of Allah, and also because I started taking action, nothing more than that. And now that I've looked into procrastination more and more and the science behind it, I've realized that it's not laziness, it's not a character flaw, it's actually a survival mechanism. It's your brain trying to protect you from negative things, from discomfort, from pain, the fear of failure, from discomfort, from uncertainty. It's trying to protect you. But a boat, as we know, is protected in the harbor, but it is not made to stay in the harbor. This is a cliche, but it just hits home so hard, and it's so true. Me and you, we're big tankers ready to go out there and transport goods around the world. What good are we doing in a port? Or an even better analogy would be we're battleships ready to go out in the rough seas with all the weaponry and the defense on us, but we're just sitting like waiting for orders our whole life. And so after studying procrastination and how to beat it, I've been able to narrow it down to 3 reasons why we procrastinate. And they're not very obvious, but they're very true. And so the first is the mental element. You procrastinate because deep down there is resistance to the goal that you think you want. So you think you want to start an online business or start that freelance career on the side, but really it could be the voice in your head telling you, oh, what if this happens? What if your parents find out and they make fun of you? What if your friends find out and they make fun of you? What about this? What if you actually succeed? The fear of success as well. What if you succeed and you become a famous person online because you're doing your business online and everyone sees you? All these voices enter your head and they either cause you to doubt yourself, they cause you to fear failure, fear success, whatever it is. These are a key part of why we procrastinate, because deep down we want something, but we don't want everything that comes with it, right? We want to fly to Jeddah to go to do Umrah, but we're terrified of going on the plane, or we're terrified of going through security, whatever it is. So we need to get rid of those fears in order to fully go on the plane, enjoy the flight, and arrive in Mecca. The second barrier and reason why people procrastinate is because they don't have the specifics, right? So in their life in general, they don't have a specific direction they're going in. They don't know what the goals they're working on today are leading towards. And so the goals that they work on, they might sound cool, but because they don't align with your identity and they don't align with your vision for your life, like in 5 years, 10 years, where you want to be, you kind of are just doing things randomly and you're not that motivated because it's not building up to something. If you think about the Prophet ﷺ, everything that he went through, all of that pain and struggle and hardship, why? Because he had such a strong vision to spread the message of Islam to the whole world, so that no one in the ideal situation would be worshipping other than Allah. Like, is there any bigger vision for your life than that? Right? It wasn't just out of a sense of duty that this was his job, that Allah put this burden and responsibility on him. It was because nobody should be worshipped other than Allah, and he believed that so deeply that he was willing to suffer for his whole life for that message. And then we go to the specifics of, okay, so now you know your vision, now you've got your goals that build towards your vision. Are your goals specific? Are they very clear what you actually should be achieving? How long it should take you to achieve that? What is the next step? What is the first step? What is the method to achieving that goal in the most efficient way? These specifics are lacking. And when specifics are lacking, you find often that you don't want to do them because you've got two tasks in your head. One is work out what I've got to do next. And then the next is actually do it. And that's why we get rid of this whole thing by making a plan. Every 3 months, we make a plan in the Brotherhood Action Protocol method. We make a plan that lasts for 3 months. So we don't need to plan and think about the specifics of what we need to do next for a whole 3 months, right? So that is how you get over it and of your week to week things that you need to do to accomplish those goals. And the third reason that you procrastinate is because you don't have accountability and you're not measuring, right? So accountability is probably the biggest game changer when it comes to getting things done and not procrastinating. There is just something built into us, especially as men who have pride and dignity in being doers, that we don't like to promise we're going to do something and then not do it, right? There's the phrase, a man of his word, for a reason. It's because we take great pride in doing what we say we're going to do. So we should be hijacking that and using that for our own benefit to make progress. And we do that by having accountability, having someone holding us accountable. You know, our parents, our wives, our friends, they might not know our biggest goals and dreams in life. They might not know what we're locked in on and focused on doing in the next few months or this year. They might not know it. Nobody knows it but you, and that's the problem. And so they can't hold you accountable for it. They don't ask you about it. And especially you don't have any formal system in place for accountability. And the other element of this is measurement. Because you're not measuring your progress, it's very easy to just be wishy-washy and just not achieve anything, not take action, and weeks go by, you've made no progress. But because you weren't measuring it every single week, you don't even know. You don't even feel the lack of progress. And you want to feel that pain so that you do the opposite to counter the pain, and that is work on your goal. And the great thing is that once you break through these 3 barriers, which are not too difficult to do, I mean, think about it, you didn't even know these existed perhaps before, but now you know if you systematically break them down, you start to beat procrastination and take solid, aggressive action on your goals. And you're not only going to make progress on your goals, you're going to feel like a new man, a different man, a man who is a doer, a man who says he's going to do something and he achieves it, bi'ithnillah. And that is ultimately what we want, is it not? We want to respect ourselves. We want our family to respect us. We want our friends to respect us and ask advice from us. And for years, I procrastinated. I was stuck in what's called the comfort trap, which is where you are in your comfort zone and you don't want to break out of it, even though you have the ambitions, but it's just too uncomfortable to break out of it. And so you procrastinate, you don't take action, and you live in that comfort trap. And a lot of the time, you're trapped in it, meaning you don't even know that you're stuck in it. You're kind of happy in your cage. And I was in this situation. Like I told you earlier, I was studying. I did 3 degrees just to avoid breaking out the comfort trap of going and getting a job. You see, I was really scared of getting a 9-to-5 job and getting stuck in that trap. I was also scared of getting a job in the UK specifically because I didn't want to get caught up in living in the UK after having grown up most of my life in the Muslim world. And I kind of wanted to continue that. But now I was in the UK and I was studying there, and I just didn't want to now finish my degree in the UK and then work there. I was scared of that. I didn't want to get out of my comfort trap. And in order to avoid that, what did I do? I got a library steward job in a university nearby where I was living in the UK. And so imagine a guy with a master's degree from UCL, one of the top unis in the world. I think when I went to it, it was the 16th top uni in the world. And for the degree I studied, it was the best in the world. I think it was ranked top 1, 2, or 3, something like that. So I've gone to that uni, I've got that kind of credentials, but I'm working as a library steward. I'm working alongside people who don't even have a bachelor's degree yet. People who are like 19 years old, and imagine I'm like 24 working alongside them, having 3 different degrees. And all this is because I didn't want to get out of my comfort trap. But like we discussed, one thing holding me back was the mental element. I was so comfortable. I was making some money, I was living with my parents, I had low expenses, and it was a low pressure life. I was able to go and do my work, get paid about 10, 11 pounds an hour sometimes, which was a lot back then especially. And I was able to read on the job. And I just started learning a lot about psychology, biopsychology, marketing, and it was great. Like I was enjoying life, but I was that ship that was in the harbor. Imagine sitting on a ship, on a military ship in the harbor, you're, a Navy commander, and you're enjoying reading psychology books. That is not what you're there for, man. But then, alhamdulillah, from the grace and the mercy of Allah, I realized I was in the comfort trap and I broke away from it. I quit that job. I got my driving license quickly in the UK because I knew I would be using it around, and I left the UK back to the UAE. And that's where I started working on business. But again, it wasn't working because I was still in another type of comfort trap, and that was the procrastination one, where I just wasn't doing the hard work in business. Also was a lack of knowledge, of course, a lack of maybe mentorship and stuff in that area. But fundamentally, I wasn't putting in enough work to actually learn in the first place. So I had to admit defeat, go and get a job, an office job, alhamdulillah, a marketing office job. But then after compromising and actually getting a job and building up my hopes that maybe this money would allow me to get experience, get some money finally at age 25 and get married, they fired me after 6 weeks. But that allowed me to go all in on business. It made me realize I actually know what I'm talking about in this business thing, this marketing thing, and let me go all in on it. But this time I would do it with other people. And those 2 business partners that I worked with, those are the people that we built a company together to $1 million a year, more than $1 million actually in revenue, but that made all the difference. And what was the difference though? It wasn't that those guys did the work for me. It wasn't that, it was just some different business model that I tried. It was actually that with those guys' help, I got mentorship and coaching, yes, but I got accountability. Every week we were having meetings and we were asking each other, oh, you had to do this last week, did you do it? And I had too much dignity to not say, yes, I've done it. So I made sure I did it. And I became a working machine. I found my work ethic again and then went on to get real business results, alhamdulillah. And it all came down to breaking these 3 barriers and the reasons why I was procrastinating and the reason why you procrastinate. The mental barriers. You need to get a coach to help you get past it. That really helps a lot of the time. And also you have to play the mental games with yourself. When you hear the voices telling you to doubt this or to be worried about that, just slap it in the face. You need to come up with responses so that doesn't linger in your mind and you can swat it away until it never comes back one day. Number 2, you need to get specific. You need to know exactly why you're working on what you're working on. You need to be committed to it. You need to be focused on it. And you need to know exactly what you're doing for the next year, for the next few months, and for this specific week. And then finally, you need to get accountability. You need to get on that train of accountability. I know it's not that common. People don't talk about it, but it's actually the hidden gem and the hidden reason why so many people succeed. They have the right people around them and they have people holding them accountable to the highest standards. Think about the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ. They were held to a high standard by the Prophet ﷺ himself and by each other. Then you have people like Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi who reconquered Jerusalem from the Crusaders. What did he have? He had Nur ad-Din Zingi, who was his mentor and held him accountable to a higher standard. And then you have the scholars. Think of any scholar that you look up to, any da'iyah, any charity worker. They always will have people that are holding them to a higher standard, holding them accountable. So you need accountable and you need to measure your progress so that you know exactly where you are. Are you on track or off track? If you're off track, how can you course correct? So it's your duty, my bro, to break through these 3 barriers to destroy your procrastination once and for all. Because if you don't, Shaitan's just loving it. He's sitting down popcorn, watching your life as you just do what he wants you to do. which is live an average life, chase like a little bit of money, not even tons of money, not even being really ambitious with your money. When you get uncomfortable with the living costs, you like try and get a promotion or get a better job, get married, have kids, try and buy a house, probably on mortgage, probably riba, this and that. This is what shaitan wants. You got to break out of it. It is your mission as a Muslim man to break out of procrastination and become more of a doer. And no, it's not just I'm a doer or a procrastinator. There is a spectrum, but it's your duty to move closer to becoming that man that you respect. And when you respect yourself and other people see what you're doing and the contribution you're making, they will respect you too. And is there nothing sweeter than respect from those around us that we love? So if you want to know more details about this whole system and how it works, I call it the Brotherhood Action Protocol, then there's a link in the description to check out that video. Otherwise, let me know, what are you working on these days? What are your big goals? Let me know in the comments, or you could DM me on Instagram as well and let me know. I'd be very interested to know, because I know that when the men of this ummah stand up, stop procrastinating and start taking action, that's when the entire world will shake and the entire world will change. Assalamu alaikum.